It is believed that the right set of questions, conversations, and dialogues among the few knowledgeable people provide the fundamental pillars on which any society and economy can be built, and history is witness to it. It is not the entire society, it is in fact always those few among us who instigate and initiate thought-provoking ideas, and the rest adopt or adapt to it. Today, ACCA, with its 112-year history of hold on public-private agenda at its core, along with our partners, are going to initiate a platform to invite think tanks across the globe to offer a forum where conversation can be started, collective wisdom can be formed, and actionable agenda can be driven. We are graced by the presence of distinguished guests from Pakistan and abroad in today's Pakistan Leadership Conversation 2017. We will shortly be joined by our chief guest, Mr. Riazuddin, who is the Deputy Governor of the State Bank of Pakistan. We have with us our guest of honor, Mr. Martin Van Groten, who is the CEO of BDO International Limited, ACCA Council Member, Ms. Aida Majid, Chief Executive ACCA, Ms. Helen Grant, visionary guest speakers, some of them are awaited, keynote speakers, panelists, educationists, ACCA members, key professionals, both in person as well as online. These are all who believe in Pakistan and are willing to contribute towards Pakistan's growth. Please, to start the proceedings, let's warm ourselves up. Please give ourselves a huge round of applause as we embark on this journey with our partners who stood with us. We would like to especially thank our key partner, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Riazuddin, Deputy Governor of the State Bank of Pakistan, has just joined us. We are grateful in particular to our key partners who have supported us for the Pakistan Leadership Conversation 2017, including Arthur Lawrence, Habib Bank Limited, ICMA Pakistan, and the Millennium University College as strategic partners, EMAR and Haskell Petroleum as platinum partners, AkzoNobel, ABM, Data Recall, Excellence Delivered, Income Microfinance Bank, IBM, Air Electric, S&P Global, Sui Southern Gas Company, Toyota, United Bank Limited, Ufone, and Within Telecom as gold partners. A big round of applause. Without them, this event could not have been put together. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. This conversation will include sharing of thoughts by our speakers and then shall be followed by two panel discussions. We have arrangements for questions. We will encourage our audience to do so. For people in the hall, you can write these down and our team members will pass those on to the moderators. For our online audience, we encourage you to type your questions and our team will provide the same to the moderators. We will begin today's proceedings with the national anthem. So ladies and gentlemen, I request you to please rise. Pakistan's national anthem. Thank you everyone. What beautiful words for the benefit of our modern dignity. Among these beautiful verses, there is a verse which says, "A nation that is asked to lead the way to progress and perfection." So without further ado, I'd like to invite Mr. Sajid Aslam, head of PCC Pakistan, to deliver the welcome address and formally initiate the proceedings. Mr. Aslam is a professional accountant, carries over 20 years of management level experience in governance, compliance, and risk, growth strategies, corporate finance, business development, and entrepreneurship. Ladies and gentlemen, Sajid Aslam, head of PCC Pakistan.
And good afternoon. The one thing which I've been hearing since my childhood, that Pakistan is blessed with natural resources. We all have got a lot of talent. We are strategically located, and we have got a geopolitical value in the region. I've been hearing that since my childhood, and I'm sure both of you must be hearing the same. There's something which doesn't add up there. There's something which is missing. If everything is there, why we see few challenges? Why those resources are not contributing enough in our social uplift? Why our stock market growth is not the right reflection of our economic growth in general? I believe there is something missing. I believe there is something which we are not doing right. There is something which I am not doing. There is something I have, I possess a resource, but I have not deployed it right. Now, this is the one who are blessed with thought process, the best with resources, the best with the finances. I think that's the opportunity for them. That's an opportunity for them to contribute back to society. And today, with the research, with the global research of ACCA, and backed by global Fintech and the global thought process, I think this is our opportunity. It's your opportunity to contribute back to society by starting the conversation, by initiating the conversation with the right questions to identify those opportunities which we believe exist, which we as few believe exist out there, and form a vision which can really create some actionable agenda for ourselves, not for someone else, but for ourselves. So I have to do something, you have to do something to make it happen. It's not going to happen otherwise. These natural resources are there for a while. This strategic location is there for a while. But that talent is there for a while. But unless until we combine all these together and somebody take a lead individually or collectively from the society, it's not possible to make those changes which we always dream about. So that I formally welcome you to Pakistan Leadership Conversation 2017 to create opportunities for growth for Pakistan. It's your opportunity, it's my opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sajid. We have, I'd like to now invite Mr. Wajid Mirza, who is the managing partner of Arthur share his thoughts. Mr. Mirza is a visionary who believes in Pakistan's exceptional resources and why Pakistan can become a destination of choice for global process innovation and outsourcing services. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wajid Mirza.
waiting for a video to start.
Every company has a set of values, and at Alpha Laurels, we have pride in ours. We recognize that our employees are our biggest asset. So finding the right talent and retaining the most exceptional resource is one of our core values.
Fortune 500 and Global 2000 multinationals. Clients trust us and like working with us because of our focus on bringing absolute value, a collaborative approach, and of course, our exceptional resources.
Technology and business process outsourcing industry is very, very dynamic, more dynamic than other trades that we deal with. And for any organization to be exceptional and stay exceptional, it's very important for a professional organization to stay ahead of the curve.
In our center of excellence, our teams from accounting and finance, technology and digital collaborate with each other in building products and applications utilizing the trends of our days and artificial intelligence. Robotics and artificial intelligence in finance, it's pretty exciting.
We started our digital service offerings under the name of Audible Digital to meet the growing demand for mobility, for Internet of Things, for digital solutions by our customers. And in a very short span of time, our team's innovative strategies and use of technology have already won many accolades all over the world. On an international platform, we have won many awards, and that makes me believe that our team is exceptional.
Along with our global delivery center in Karachi, Arthur Lawrence employs over 300 professionals.
Pakistan's strategic growth at fast. The country has enormous resources and human capital.
We are looking to expand our delivery centers in other cities of Pakistan, and our goal is to achieve a headcount of 500 professionals. That is exceptional.
So when we look at the global stage and look at the Pakistani professionals and compare them with the professionals of the other countries, and I can, in my experience of working for more than 20 years in the Middle East and Europe and the melting pot of different nationalities from all over the world, I can very comfortably say that Pakistani professionals are smarter, intelligent, professionally ethical, and hands down, Pakistani professionals are exceptional.
We have a strategic alliance with ACCA, and are partnering with them to achieve the vision to make Pakistan the client's accounting destination of the world. If this initiative is successful, we estimate the Pakistani economy will save 30,000 jobs for graduates of accounting and finance. I think this is simply exceptional. It's a vision to make Pakistan a company that spreads across all different continents, through
I believe in exceptional.
I believe in exceptional.
I believe an exception. I am Arthur Lawrence.
It's exciting to think what we can achieve for our employees. It's really exciting to think what we can achieve for our customers. And it's really exciting to think what we can achieve for our nation. It makes me excited to think what just the attitude of exceptional can do to you and to your organization. Looking at this video, I thank God that we're not an acting business. Sajid, thank you so much for inviting me. Honorable guests, Riaz Riazuddin, Helen Brand, and all distinguished members here of ACCA. My name is Wajid Mirza, and I'm here especially from Houston, Texas to address and speak to you and share what we are seeing about Pakistan and Pakistani professionals in the global platform. When I was making notes in terms of what to say today, I started reflecting on the Arthur Lawrence story. We started this company from, people like to say from my garage, but actually from my apartment in 2003 with just 2 employees. And primarily worked in accounting or primarily worked in technology space. My background is that I'm a technology and management consultant. I spent some years with Big Fours and then went on to a couple of startups. So when we started Arthur Lawrence, the idea was very simple, just provide simple management and technology services to our customers. As we grew in size quite slowly, in 2009 we decided to have an office in Karachi here. And the basic idea of having an office in Karachi was very simple, just to save some costs on back office processes. And our beginning was very slow and humble. 2009 we started with 1 employee, and somewhere around 2011, 2012 we had about 11 or 12 employees here. And at one point it occurred to me that what we were getting out of Pakistan, whether they were technology folks working for us, whether it was accounting folks working for us, or any other back office staff, that we were getting great amount of value. And value is defined from not just lower costs, but really exceptional service. And that led me to believe that if we can do this for ourselves, why can't we do this for other customers? So in 2012, we decided to launch finance and accounting service line. And from that point on, today we have roughly about 200 employees here in Karachi, and about close to 100 resources working in different parts of the United States for our customers, primarily in the United States. There was a book out there back about 20 years ago called The Discipline of Market Leaders. And that book primarily talked about that there are 3 ways of market strategies that you can achieve competitive advantage. The first one is product innovation. The second one is customer intimacy. And third one is operational excellence. We in Arthur Lawrence believe that in order for us to really move fast, you have to adapt all 3 of these strategies, not just but one. And that's what we started to bring in to our company. Now, let's go back to why we are here. We are here to talk about growth opportunities for Pakistan. So let's talk about a couple of things. The global market share in BPO finance and accounting business is about $30 billion. It's supposed to go up to about $36 billion in 2020. The outsourcing or offshoring or shared services, however you term that, it's in its 3rd wave. The first wave started with offshoring. Companies just offshore their processes, which what Arthur Lawrence originally did. The second phase came out, or second wave came out, when companies started to outsource to other third parties. And the third one really, which is happening right now, is automation. And I just want you guys to remember that for a second, and I'll come back to it to talk about this. At the global stage, there's an index by A.D. Carney which raised Pakistan at number 28 in the global forum. This is the location index which measures financial attractiveness, people and skills, and overall business environment. India, of course, leads as number 1. You'll be surprised to know that six of the top 10 countries are actually all from Asia. India, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines. But unfortunately, Pakistan ranks number 28. Actually went down from 24th the last time the survey was done 3 years ago. The primary area that we are lacking in that index, there are three, as I mentioned, there are three areas. The primary area that we are lacking is the business environment, security, law and order, things of that nature, which, very frankly, you and I perhaps can't control. But the other area that there is a tremendous amount of opportunity for improvement is the skill set. And that's where I think we come in as the professionals to provide the services. I was going through some of the metrics. I'm a numbers guy, so I was going through some numbers, and I started looking at the metrics, and I noticed that if we just take the average of the top 3 countries, which is India, China, and Malaysia, and take their metrics, their skill set metrics, and divide by 3, and take that average and put that into Pakistan, Pakistan actually goes up from 28 to number 3 in the world ranking. Okay. Now, what I just said is a very powerful statement. I've been asked to make it short, so I'll get to the point in 36 seconds or more. So the point I'm making is it's in our hands to improve our technological skill set. 3 points I'll say to get to where we want to get to, which is creating opportunities. Number 1, we need to determine how to promote this industry. Companies like Arthur Lawrence, companies like S&P, I think we need a lot more of those. I would ask our companies, our counterparts at other organizations like the Big Fours, BDO, to basically start promoting this industry. The second, gather a bigger pool. I think we need a lot more resources. The ACCA vision, led by Sajid, to have Pakistan as a destination for finance and accounting, that has to go forward, and we need to get more and more resources trained. And the last one, just keeping the spirit of Arthur Lawrence exceptional resources, it all depends on you how well you want to be perceived in the global platform. If we want to succeed, we have to be exceptional, we have to excel, and we have to show the world that Pakistani resources are best partner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wajid, for your insights. And of course, everybody can see the passion, spirit of exceptional resources, excel, and Pakistan will be there on the map. Our other guest speaker, Ms. Fola Malik, Director, International Qualifications and Quality Assurance. Her flight got delayed, so she'll join us a little later. So we'll just proceed next on our program. We take this opportunity to have amongst us our guest of honor, Mr. Martin Van Rokel, who is the CEO of BDO International Limited. Mr. Van Rokel has been the CEO of BDO International Limited since October 2011. He joined BDO in the Netherlands in 1975, and he is credited since his leadership position to have grown the membership network firms exponentially as well as the global revenues. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the stage Mr. Martin Van Rokel.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words to you. And I was very pleased when I heard the theme of the conference, offshoring, outsourcing, BPO, whatever word you would like to use, and Fintech, because I think these areas offer enormous growth opportunities to the profession, the professional service industry around the world, but especially in those countries where talent is available, where educated talent is available. And I have to admit, it's my first time in Pakistan, and coming from Europe, of course, you have a number of perceptions based on what you see on television, what you read in the media, But so far, I've been very, very pleasantly surprised by the environment in Karachi. And I'm even more impressed by the opportunities your country is offering. Coming to the topic of offshoring and outsourcing, if I look at the developments in many parts of the world, offshoring, outsourcing has grown enormously, but I'm even more convinced that it will grow even more in the coming 5 to 10 years. So I think it's very important that the firms in this country pay much more attention to it. But at the same time, there is a challenge for this country to change the perception outside Pakistan, that Pakistan is the place to go to. And when I just heard that in the top 10 of countries dealing with offshoring, outsourcing, that Pakistan is missing, I think that should be changed. As I think you have the talent, you have the opportunity, you have the people that can make it happen. But it's important that the perceptions around Pakistan will be changed. If I look at BDO with regard to offshoring, outsourcing, since a number of years, it's our fourth global service line that we support, where we help our member firms to develop tools, applications, and last year we developed a global client portal that is made available to all our firms, including a number of applications that are made available to our firms, as we strongly believe that this market offers enormous growth opportunities. But you have to ensure that it is the business that will drive all the developments, the education, training of people, but also the IT needs, because as soon as IT is going to drive the developments of your business, I think you're taking the wrong approach. Your business has to define what is needed. And it's very important to find launching customers. And I think that's the advantage of being part of a larger network. That quite often you see that global outsourcing, offshoring clients are one, which means that we are able to generate those jobs in countries like Pakistan as well. And I think that is absolutely an advantage, because you need scale. And it was just mentioned already, automation is of key importance, but also standardizing processes. Having a very lean and mean, well-structured process in place in order to deliver exceptional client service, as we call it within the BDO environment. And if we move ahead in the direction of Fintech, everyone has heard of blockchain, I suppose, but it is the development that is coming up. And one of our dreams is to create a BDO coin in the next years in order to have a controlled environment for our clients, knowing of course that it will have an impact on the financial service industry, but we think the development is just beginning, and that the industrial revolution, as we have seen in the early 20th century in many parts of the world, will come to the professional service industry as well. So I think it's very important that people from the profession over here monitor very closely what is happening, organize a structure that makes it possible for them to react in an agile way to what's happening in order to be ready to take advantage of what's available as opportunities in the market. And if I look at the developments, especially in Europe, with the introduction of the EU audit reforms, the more strict rules on independence, at the same time, it means that there are many more opportunities with large, mid-sized companies, corporates around the world that decide to offshore, outsource important parts of their administrative processes, including payrolling, but also when they have for example, a franchise organization to introduce benchmarking information in order to have an industry-driven approach to the industry sectors where it really matters. And I know it's a lot of developments, but at the same time, I think Pakistan is wonderfully well positioned to take advantage of those opportunities, as you have the talent, you have the education, people have a high motivation to deliver exceptional client service. So I think it's an enormous opportunity where I hope to see within 5 years from now that Pakistan will be in the top 10 of countries delivering offshoring and outsourcing services to companies around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Martin. A few key takeaways for us. Challenge for us is to change the perception, business to drive all the needs rather than IT or the ancillary driving the business. And last but not the least, our best wishes to BDO for the BDO coin. Next, any conversation for growth and opportunities for Pakistan cannot be complete without the involvement of our key regulator for banking and the custodian of the fiscal policy, Mr. Riazuddin, Deputy Governor of the State Bank of Pakistan, is the chief guest for today's Pakistan leadership conversation. Mr. Riazuddin was appointed as the Deputy Governor on March 31st, 2015. Prior to his appointment as the Deputy Governor, Mr. Riazuddin was serving as the Chief Economic Advisor, Monetary Policy of the State Bank of Pakistan, and he brings with him 20 years of central banking experience. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome Mr. Riazuddin to share his thoughts around today's theme, Pakistan creating opportunities for growth, embracing change, shaping futures. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Riazuddin.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ms. Helen Brand, ACCA's Global Chief Executive, Office Bearers of ACCA Pakistan, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. It is a great pleasure to be invited to this august gathering of senior professionals, industry executives, and thought leaders, including the top brass of ACCA. The ACCA, an institution which is synonymous with professional accountancy across the globe, must be lauded for organizing this conversation in a bid to foster dialogue among the country's stakeholders. In keeping with the event's theme, creating opportunities for growth, I will focus on Pakistan's readiness to tap such opportunities. Of course, these days, it is hard to talk about growth without mentioning CPEC, given the multitude of opportunities the corridor opens up. Besides the direct benefits which would accrue from the successful implementation of CPEC's energy and infrastructure projects, there is also potential to realize indirect benefits, including productivity gains and promotion of allied industries and services like steel, cement, chemicals, fiber optics, transportation, mining and quarrying, and real estate, and setting up of special economic zones. However, keeping in mind the topics of today's panel discussions, which pertain to global business services and financial technology, and also your interest as an audience of specialists, I have opted for a more targeted subject for this talk, namely outsourcing and fintech enterprises as growth opportunities for Pakistan. I will begin by identifying the baseline in terms of our ICT infrastructure and human resource base, elements which are prerequisites for outsourcing and fintech firms. Then I will touch upon our standing in this domain compared to regional peers and identify a key driver which demands our attention. Next, I will take stock of reasons for optimism on the one hand and potential challenges on the other. And finally, I will leave with you some food for thought in terms of a proposed policy reorientation, which could help us capitalize on our favorable demographic mix to achieve sustainable growth. For starters, then let's set the stage by reviewing some current indicators. An estimated 2/3 of our country's population is under 30 years old. This young labor force can be mobilized to meet the evolving needs of business process outsourcing and fintech firms. In addition, Pakistan has the third largest English-speaking population in the world, which can also be leveraged favorably. It is reasonable to anticipate that this predominantly young English-speaking workforce would tend to be more tech-savvy and receptive to digital technology. This expectation is duly borne out by data. According to Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, the total tele density in Pakistan is currently around 71% compared to only 26% a decade earlier. In addition, annual cellular subscribers exceed 136 million as of December 2016, compared to 34 million a decade previously. Furthermore, the number of 3G and 4G subscribers has also risen exponentially from 1.4 million in 2013-14 to 37.6 million as of December 2016. Broadband subscription has also grown over 10-folds in the same period. Once we also factor in the gains in branchless and digital banking, where indicators like outstanding deposits and average number of daily transactions is increasing year by year, we can safely say that the backdrop, particularly for fintech firms, is quite encouraging. To share with you our rapid progress in mobile banking, in the quarter ending 30th September 2016, about 110 million branchless banking transactions valuing rupees 520 billion were conducted in Pakistan. Further, the mobile wallet digital accounts have increased to 17 million, worth rupees 8.5 billion deposits as on 30th September 2016. Promotion of digital transaction accounts is a key priority area for the SBP-led National Financial Inclusion Strategy. However, despite these favorable dynamics, Pakistan lags behind compared to India, Bangladesh, and the Philippines in terms of business process outsourcing. Intellectual property rights in particular are a key missing link for us. Besides, other aspects of the business environment, such as political and economic risks, whether real or exaggerated, also present challenges, especially for startups. A silver lining, though, is that Pakistan remains financially attractive as an outsourcing location, given that it has lower wage and infrastructure costs compared to a number of emerging and developed economies. So what should we do to catch up with the competition? Perhaps the single most important need is to constantly align the skill set of our labor force with the evolving demands of the global marketplace. This in turn creates an additional requirement to train the labor force and equip them with specialized skills. I believe Pakistan's financial industry is doing a commendable job in grooming our human resources, which is reflected in the high mobility and demand for experienced Pakistani professionals overseas, especially in the Gulf region. For its parts, SBP, through its training arm, NIBAF, offers a number of workshops and courses to develop and upgrade the skills of the domestic professionals. These trainings foster the development of technical expertise in the domain of economics, banking, and finance, as well as soft skills and managerial prowess. Moving on to Pakistan's readiness to embrace the required changes, there is good reason to be optimistic. The startup ecosystem of the country, which can churn out ICT-driven firms, is steadily growing. Efforts are underway to expand internet coverage even further to unserved and underserved segments in rural and urban areas via utilization of the Universal Service Fund. Moreover, support mechanism for entrepreneurs in terms of funding from venture capital and angel investors, as well as structured guidance and co-working spaces offered by incubators and accelerators are also expanding. The SECP has also introduced a number of regulations relating to venture capital and private equity. This improved regulatory framework, together with consistent policies like stable macro economy and improvement in security situation, could boost venture capital participation in the near future. Moreover, the country's new breed of entrepreneurs has repeatedly demonstrated that it has a host of creative ideas and can compete with global counterparts. To quote a recent example, only last month, representatives from Pakistan won 3 gold and 6 silver awards at the 16th Annual Asia Pacific ICT Alliance Awards in competition with 236 teams from 17 countries. That said, stakeholders need to be mindful that while the road ahead offers much promise, it may also contain potential speed breakers. Global developments like Brexit and shifting US priorities are examples of a broader reorientation in many parts of the world towards inward-looking policies and job creation that puts locals first. In the wake of a slowdown in global economic growth, it appears likely that competition among outsourcing and fintech firms will only intensify further. With the stakes so high, the way forward for policymakers will lie in easing the constraints faced by fintech enterprises. In fact, I feel we can go a step further in terms of providing specific incentives, particularly to fledgling firms. Such incentives would be trained on sound economic reasoning. Research conducted by State Bank indicates that while both Pakistan and India have increasingly become service-oriented economies over time, they have opted for differing approaches to structurally transform their economies with important consequences. Specifically, while Pakistan has primarily focused on traditional services like retail and wholesale trade, hotel and restaurants, transport and communication, etc., India has directed its efforts towards developing modern services like finance, insurance, software development, real estate, etc. Such modern knowledge-based services tend to have higher productivity potential and perhaps explain to a large extent the existing gulf between the two countries in the outsourcing and fintech space. Therefore, to narrow the gap in future, we have to reorient our approach towards modern and ideally exportable services. To conclude, I am of the opinion that Pakistan is, on the whole, trying to leverage fintech and outsourcing channels in its quest for economic growth. We have all the raw ingredients on hand to transform our fortunes. All that is required is the right recipe. Fortunately, we have amongst us today some of the brightest minds operating within the field, and I look forward to hearing their vision for our shared future during panel discussions, as well as the questions and insights which you as an informed audience will bring to the table. I wish you all a very productive conference. Thank you very much.
Ladies ladies and gentlemen, very insightful by the Deputy Governor State Bank sir. Narrow the gap, the raw ingredients are there, the right recipe is needed. The positive side is that the State Bank sees that it is willing to ease the constraints and provide incentives for Fintech and outsourcing to really develop and flourish. There are so many other favorable factors that he's mentioned, but time is a little short. Mr. Riazuddin has to travel back to the State Bank. So we take this opportunity to request Ms. Helen Brand and Ms. Ayla Majid to come on the stage, and if the memorabilia can be delivered to the chief guest. And after that, Mr. Van Broeken had to leave because he had a very tight schedule. So I can request Mr. Zulfikar Bosser, who is the local partner here in Pakistan, to accept the shield on his behalf. Mr. Van Broeken. Zulfikar Bosser will be requesting the shield on behalf of Mr. Van Broeken. So thank you very much once again, Mr. Riazuddin sir, for his time and for his insightful words. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Faisal Kamal, who is the managing partner of HRS Global BPO, to deliver the keynote speech on global business services and robots. In the world form of BPOs and outsourcing, this is a discussion which is inspired from two research and insight reports of the ACCA, which Mr. Kamal will cover in his presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Faisal Kamal.
ACCA management, guest speakers, ACCA member, good afternoon, and I'm very pleased to be here. When we talk about outsourcing, that's the passion I have, and that's the passion brought me back to this country. I came back to Pakistan about 7 years ago. Okay, we're back live. So I was just sharing my experience. 7 years ago, I came back to Pakistan and
the reason for coming back to Pakistan, I followed some research, and that research suggested that this is going to be the future. I came back to Pakistan, we launched 2 ventures in the outsourcing domain by the name HRSG BPO, and then we had another company by the name HRSG Outsourcing. I share that story with everyone that I was going almost every day with my laptop and a presentation and sharing the research with everyone. And it took me for 14 months to convince one company, that too was a multinational, that is British Petroleum. I finally convinced them that you need to outsource your payroll. Why you like to get involved in your technical work? Focus on your business. And then the journey started. 7 years ahead on my entrepreneurial path, we are dealing with about 200 plus companies, and we are running the largest cloud in Pakistan in the HR and payroll domain, and we are servicing about 60,000 people on a monthly basis on a cloud, which runs from 3 countries. So I believed in that, and I believe it's starting. The process has just started, and I'm very happy, and full credit I give to ACCA for taking this initiative. And it's such a stringent change management I experienced over the years. And today, I'm quite honored that I got an opportunity to speak about it, because I'm the biggest critic of many, many conferences, many, many forums, where you try to teach, all the technical subjects, but you don't give the arsenal to the finance and business people to make their organization more commercial. Because these concepts only commits cost saving. That's what we need to understand, and that's about it. So my job initially, Wajib, thank you very much for helping me to explain this concept, and what you had spoken. Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted somebody to support. So we'll start this presentation, and I have a research to share with you. This is the most successful story of P&G. P&G is considered the father and mothers of these unique concepts, and they don't only just talk about it, they actually implement those concepts in reality. That is from their website. When they implemented global business services, they saved $800 million, and they reduced their cost of sales by more than 30%. And then the last most important fact, what just BDO CEO was just talking, the standardization of processes. From 27%, they moved on to 60%, which is unbelievable. And still we are not interested. So that is the question that, when you talk about offshoring, that Pakistan is a favorite destination, for investment. I say that is equally important, but what about the onshoring? Our 82% of GDP contribution by the local sector, and how many companies right here on the sponsorship have the defined outsourcing strategy for Pakistan in any defined area? So now the question is, it's not to be understood by only international companies, that what potential do we carry in terms of our talent, in terms of our technology. But the question is that how much we can change perception of the business and finance leader here in this country. So are we interested? Are we interested to save money? Yes, of course we are interested. We are finance people, right? And at the end of the day, if we are not going to think about cost savings, how we are going to lead the organization and make them ready for future challenges. So there we go. And when you talk about global business services, one has to understand the evolution. And today, once we finish this conversation and we have the panel discussion, I believe that most of the company's CFOs here and most of the business leaders will have the status of their company where they are today, and what they intend to do. Because 7 years ago, there was none. Today, there are about 200 companies in this country, including 7 listed companies who has outsourced their large payroll base, their compliance base, their retirement benefit accounting. What we believe in, Pakistan is among some countries where you provide online financials for retirement benefit, whether it is provident fund, whether it is gratuity, whether it is benevolent fund, and whether it is provident fund. So all can be covered right here in Pakistan. So, to understand GBS, you need to pass through the evolution. I think it started to. Yeah, these are the three evolutions. I would say I will put them all together. When in about 2 decades ago, we had the concept that whatever you want to automate, buy the technology in-house. That we used to call, or you want to diversify into multiple countries, keep everything segregated. Don't try to mix them up. So we had the concept of centralization and decentralization. Then we moved to a revolution. There is a difference between revolution and evolution. So when you talk about revolution, that was the real evolution when we call it shared services and outsourcing. The concept was very simple, that I want to focus on my business. I don't want to create a team of 50 people making payroll in-house in the company and saying that I have SAP. By the way, SAP, Oracle and Microsoft, none of them have payroll for Pakistan. So people claiming that we are running payroll on SAP, it's the American die customized by the local vendor and paying the price of SAP even for non-core. So sometimes I wonder what you need to be proud of and where you can save money. So moving forward, that is the concept which commits a straightforward ROI. And we understood in Pakistan, I am very proud to share with you that we do have shared service centers in Pakistan. The thing is, JustCon has come up with this state-of-the-art shared service center in this country. So there are many companies coming up with shared center concept because they don't want to control. They don't want to control each and everything. They like to make sure they are producing results for the company. The CFO is right there talking about strategy rather than trying to control account payable, trying to make sure that purchase orders are not going to go without my approval. So the thing is, it's a shift that has to be changed. And today, what we are talking is the final concept, which is GBS, which is Global Business Services. And Global Business Services, what it says, it is an evolution from shared service center. It is not a new concept. It is to make your organization more commercial. When you talk about more commercial, that with shared service center, you have 4 shared service centers. Finance has a separate shared service center, then HR has a separate service center, HR has a separate service center. GBS saying bring them on one table and make them one. So ensure huge amount of savings, and that's exactly what P&G did. P&G is one of the leaders, including Schneider, including HP. There are many companies coming up with the same concept. And now, this is what GBS is all about. So GBS is not a rocket science. GBS is a simple commercial concept, and I believe that in today's era, finance professionals, business heads, entrepreneurs, they have to have a very clear-cut understanding of these concepts, because right now, I don't know, we all need to assess that where do we stand. But if you ask me about the local status in Pakistan for onshoring, about 70% are still adamant to be in the centralization or decentralization mode. They want to buy everything, but they want to make it in-house. They want to hire many teams. There is no segregation between technical and strategic management. And these concepts are saying nothing. They are saying that let the technical go away from you. Focus on the strategy. This is what GBS is all about. And I'll try and quickly move to GBS. And now, this entire presentation, the research, ACC has come up, is to evaluate the various aspects of GBS on a company. So, not only, we are going to endorse the concept, and at the same time, we will just, cursorily view the implications of GBS. Okay. So, as I mentioned, the thing is global. GBS is not more than just managing, just lumping the entire individual silos of shared services or outsourcing concept into a global, unified, single governance system. So that's about it. And now next question is, well, what? CFO should care about it. Whether CFO should be concerned about this concept. So yes, if you segregate it into 3 categories, you can explain. If I am a CFO who is, working in multiple countries and I am on the growth strategy, this concept is going to help me. Because if, this organization, which is technical, it is off with me, I can focus on accelerating the growth strategy of my company. And if the thing is, I happen to be part of the GBS plan, so at the end of the day, what I need to do, I need to learn to have an implication. So I need to be worried and I need to be caring about it. And the third case, which is mostly, we come up with, that we aren't ready. We are not a global company. So why we are talking about GBS? But if you're not a global company, what you can do, you can develop a shared service center. You can start, with an outsourcing strategy. You can start the process. So being a CFO, the thing is, it has to be cared well. And then the next implication, that will it impact the value creation by finance? So of course, it's going to create huge value for finance, because today I like to have sales day outstanding report for a country. Tomorrow, I will have the same SDO report for 80 countries in one click. So the question is, I will have more analytics, I will have more insight. So it's going to create a huge value for the organization. And the next one, apart from CFO, another question arises that who's going to lead? And we can also understand the same concept based on the local environment that we have, if we develop shared service center and outsourcing, who has to lead? There are 2 contenders. One is the CFO itself. Why CFO? Because CFO has the breadth of responsibility far bigger than any other department. Research says it's about 3/4 than HR. So the thing is, it's a natural inheritor, to be leading, any such, importance. And the other contender is CIO. This is Chief Information Officer. The mindset is different between the two. We finance people focus on the risk and cost. And when you talk about CIO, they will be focused on manipulation of technology. And at the same time, they will focus on industrialization. So the most important part is that if CFO, can accommodate their time, to focus on such an initiative, they can certainly go for it. Otherwise, CIO is the best bet to go and lead, this initiative. And moving forward, now the problem is that we have been talking about entrepreneurs' business. What about the finance professionals? ACC members are sitting right here. Right here, because when you talk about outsourcing, a lot of places I have to justify that this is not an anti-employment business. A lot of companies, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of government regulators straight away ask me, that, don't you think it's an anti-employment business? I have 20 people making payroll. You are telling me I'm going to make payroll for 2 persons. What we are going to do for 18 people? This is an anti-employment business. So the most important part is that let's talk about the profession, and you talk about the finance professional. When this evolution is going to come, what's going to happen to finance people? Where they're going to look for their careers. So what kind of skill set they need? When you talk about a shared service center, they need skill base to change the culture, because they need to think, on a bigger perspective. And at the same time, their ancillary benefit is to make sure they're going to see the scale. When you talk about their accounting skills, probably they're going to go in the same direction. And next, another line to it is the career part of it. See, what outsourcing and shared services, what they do, they create efficiency. A ratio may be 10% to 1, but you altogether create a different sector of employment. What different sector of employment is the shared service center, the outsourcing operator. If we got 300 people in Pakistan, who they are? They might be working for some organization looking after these operations, right? They all are now have a career path. And the career path, and at the same time, the people left with the organization are more focused towards strategy, rather than focus on tactical things. Now there's no routine work. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win at all corners, whether it is an employer or the employee. So when it comes to technology, it's altogether a new segment that one has to look into. So I'm not going to sum up now. The thing is again here. So the summary of the entire presentation and this concept. The first thing I just wanted to share that these concepts are going to come and are going to evolve, and we all have to surrender. So at the end of the day, if we bring that change, finance is the best department, to do it. And this is the opportunity that, we have. I think I moved a little too fast. This is the opportunity we have. In this country, there are 2.9 million people are going for their careers, right? And when 2.9 million people are coming, it's going to come. 2.9 million people are going for grads and becoming masters, becoming ACCAs, learning FIRS, and so many other things. So we have abnormal opportunities for onshoring and offshoring. We started after Pakistan moving into Middle East, and I'll share it with Wajid that I believe that the growth in the West is in the single digit, and there is enormous growth in the Middle Eastern part, in excess of 18%. So the thing is that can be focus area for Pakistani BPO vendors, to focus and ensure they are bringing companies from this part of the world. So this is it, and last quote, I loved it. Last time, it was shared by somebody from ACC only, and let it come. The electric light did not come from continuous improvement of candles. So the thing is, you need to revolutionize. You don't expect that I'm going to bring lots and lots of people and things are going to change by themselves. No. We got to think differently to create the impact. And with that thought, I thank you very much, for patiently listening to me, and I am honored. Yeah, I have a fantastic people to be on panel with me, and we are going to have, a good discussion, and then we have a small portion for question answer. So I will request there are a lot of people here. They all are my seniors, but they don't know me, but I have been their fan. Right in front, I will call Syed Asad Ali Shah Sahab, the first, the managing partner Deloitte. And with a big round of applause. And the thing is, there's no harm in, doing a little exercise. So then I will request, the ACC member, Ayla Majid, to please come up on stage. And then the thing is, one of the intellect, named Zamindar, because I have a lot of expectation. He is the capital venturer and doing a lot on the leadership development across the globe. Welcome. And then we have our very own Arthur Lawrence managing partner, Majid Mirza. And last but not the least, BDO's partner, the young, dynamic Zulfikar Ali Qasim. Thank you. First of all, sir, thank you very much, for gracing this occasion. Yes. will start with my favorite, Sadanisha. He doesn't know me, but the thing is, I'm from the same profession, so I am his advisor silently, and I learned a lot from him over the years. Sir, my question is that Deloitte leads GPS consulting globally, and they have a huge consulting wing, and they are one of the core consulting company globally, for these concepts. So, do we have anything, over the years, you interacted some company who's coming up with the need, and we have real, consulting assignments in this domain?
Hello. First of all, thank you, Faisal, and thank you to ACCA for organizing this conference on this very important subject. I personally think that, as has been mentioned earlier by the Deputy Governor and also by Martin, we have huge resource and potential, but unfortunately, as far as outsourcing and offshoring and even GPS is concerned, Pakistan is, as you know, we're not within the top 10 countries. Yes, Deloitte is the largest firm in the world and one of the top four, and they have. I think I saw that this GPS document of Deloitte UK, and I think they are promoting this, what you just told us. But as a country, I think, unfortunately, we have not been able to capture this space so far, and for that I will not go into the reasons, and I think we should discuss those reasons and try to address those reasons. But as you said, within Pakistan, there has been very limited, outsourcing as far as the financial services firms are concerned. A few, accounting outsourcing work that we do, limited outsourcing of internal audit that we do, limited outsourcing in taxation that we do. But and we're doing this payroll outsourcing, and yes, that is also done. But I think the extent is very small, both ongoing and as well as far as the potential is the offshoring. The real potential, as I said, is the offshoring. And the main advantage is that our cost of resources here is very small. I mean, I can give you an example. I understand that in UK, for instance, the minimum wage rate they are talking about or raising, the current UK government is trying to fix it at around £9 sterling or so. Can you imagine that, £9 an hour, which is the minimum wage? Now for us, for Pakistan, even £9, for top professional services firms, if we can get work, we can definitely provide much better service at the minimum wage of, and obviously their hourly rates of larger firms are, the partner rate would be thousands of pounds and hundreds of pounds as managers and other staff are concerned. So even if we get work at £9, I think it will be viable for large number of companies. So what I'm saying is, I think because of many reasons, and which were cited earlier also, unfortunately in this case, India, Philippines, and many other countries. You gave the example of Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble is our global audit client, and we actually interact with their shared services center, which is based in Manila. So they, provide us the accounts, and we do audit from here. Our audit teams do that, but the global this shared service sector is in Manila, not in Pakistan. So I think the real issue that needs to be discussed is what should be the strategy of Pakistan as a country and our firms, because we have so far we have missed the boat really, because it's very small at the moment.
Thank you very much. And I'll move to Mr. Naim. And Mr. Naim, I would like to know, based on your experience, in the global market, when we see Pakistan as the place where the investment can come. So what might be the players and in your experience, if a competitive vendor would like to see Pakistan as a place? So what do you see that what will be convincing factor for you to be part with that team, to be here in Pakistan? How do you see that? What do you see for a potential to come to any country, and you're convinced that we are going to invest?
Sure. There are two reasons why somebody outsources. Number one is cost, the other one is quality, right? Quality in terms of the business being able to focus on its core business and not be concerned with the non-strategic stuff. So what's been attracting, one of the things I want to give you an example, the recent success story in Pakistan, it's Mobilink, right? Mobilink basically has become a global shared services center of excellence for telecom services for the Wimbledon group, and they're across many countries, and they're going to move a lot of their shared services into Pakistan. So clearly large corporations which have been in Pakistan, which are familiar with it, within organizations are able to do it more effectively because they know the market, they know the technology, they know the people. There's a much deeper level of trust involved. I think biggest issue with Pakistan has been trust, right? But there's something else that's really important that needs to be thought about. There is a whole trend that's taking place in the world where there's a reversal of globalization, right? So I think one of the big challenges that this space will have in Pakistan is the trend towards countries now wanting to, like especially the United States, most of Europe, is going to move towards there will be a resistance towards outsourcing or offshoring services. I think there's a major challenge that needs to be overcome, but that can be challenged again. Like you said, the shared services, if it's within an organization, much easier to justify. The other one is robots, right, which we're talking about. That's also a huge challenge. A lot of corporations are thinking about, especially I do have a couple of examples in the US, right? A lot of companies are now thinking of reversing, and the Indian, for example, outsourcing companies are having great challenges where, because of robots, the work for Infosys, etc., they are now reconsidering the whole model as well, right? Because there's a big challenge because of automation. I mean, the example given is £9 per hour, right? Robots can do it for much, much cheaper. And that's where the challenge is. There are significant challenges out there for Pakistan, given that it's got a trust issue, right? Number two, because of robots, right, and anti-globalization, I think there's going to be a contraction in terms of this marketplace. But there is an opportunity for very focused, very specialized players which can do something really well and also leverage robots and technology to become efficient and in terms of delivering the same value proposition at an exponentially higher level.
Thank you very much. And I would like to understand and the audience that as an institution, how we are making sure that the grads coming into the system are well versed about these concepts, and what steps can be taken, ACC has taken as an institution, and at the same time what more you suggest has to be done at the academia to make sure that when we are going into the company, we are equipped with these concepts rather than we are naive about it.
Thank you, Professor. I'll start with the statistic that I read in a report of World Economic Forum that the number is actually much larger. By 2025, it is expected that the outsourcing service, and only the online outsourcing service, if I narrow it down from global outsourcing to online, it's going to, by 2020, it will be $15 to $20 billion. And the number of jobs that it will create will be 30 million alone. So that is a phenomenal number. And then obviously we need to be ready for that market as well. So we at ACCA, we are futuristic in our vision, futuristic in our approach. So what we do, we obviously started doing a lot of research on this starting many years ago, and some of the research is shared here as well. Looking at 2011, when ACCA looked at that, 70% of the Fortune 500 companies, they were outsourcing one or the other component. So we have integrated as part of our qualification, as part of our syllabus, the continuous research and insight. We are making sure that our professionals are equipped. And one of the statistics that you can see over there, that 85% of our ACCAs, they have entrepreneurial ambitions. So what we looking at what is the need of the market, what is the need of the ACCAs coming in the market, we are training them. So this is all that we are doing and much more. And the very fact that ACCA has organized this conference and we are here talking about this is an evidence of it.
Any message you have for other institutions?
I think all the other institutions, we also work together for the reason because we are all now creating a flag, we have created another domain. So we need to work alongside each other, whether it is the national body here in Pakistan or national bodies or international bodies from all over the world. We need to work together because it is the trends are changing, like 9/7 just said, we are now going to move towards
it's going to impact everyone.
So it's going to impact everyone. It's going to impact everyone's way of doing business, way of doing jobs. It's going to change the profession altogether. So when we are creating the future, we need to work together.
Wajid, you have enormous experience, and I think, your company has far more experience in terms of finance and accounting outsourcing. So what impediments you see, when you are sourcing the business, in terms of your marketing, bringing business to Pakistan, some of that you share. And at the same time, what kind of environment do you expect locally? Do you have any list of expectations from, State Bank of Pakistan or to SCCB that these are the initiatives if they provide us in terms of, maybe money coming in or any kind of regulation which you compare with the region, what Bangladesh is doing, what India is doing in terms of outsourcing. So how share your experience with us?
Hello. Okay. Thank you, Faisal. So two-part question, two-part answer. First one, the challenges that we see in working in the Western world, serving from Pakistan. You can easily assume here what kind of challenges we see. The general stigma out there for Pakistan isn't very promising. However, we have been able to penetrate with a lot of customers just by being present in front of them and really showing our resources. We present ourselves. In many cases, we do hear people questioning if they want to send their financial data to Pakistan. They do worry that what the perception would be. We have lost clients recently where someone has come in and said, look, I just don't want to work with Pakistan anymore. Not because of any other reason, but because of the perception out there. But at the same time, there are a lot more other customers who we are able to convince, who we are in front of, and we go out very proudly and say we are from Pakistan, this is the work we're doing, and we do get this business. So where strategically it hurts us often, at the same time I can't say that the reason we're not doing so well is just because of the stigma out there. Second, what can State Bank of Pakistan or the government of Pakistan can do? I'll go back to the A.D. Kearney research that I was talking about earlier. You'd be surprised that Pakistan scored almost the highest points in terms of government giving breaks and government supporting industry here, for BPO industry in Pakistan. Now, I was shocked because my perception was completely different. But this is the career report, and it ranked, again, ranked Pakistan amongst the highest. What we do believe, however, as practitioner here and having an organization in Pakistan, we definitely need more support in terms of, there are regulatory bodies, but then there are folks who go around the regulatory bodies to give you, I would say, a harder time. I think we need to manage that part of it. Okay. Second, I believe we need better infrastructure, low-cost infrastructure, because our cost on infrastructure is way more than our cost of resources. From our perspective, for Arthur Morris, I don't remember exact numbers, but I think it's 2-to-1 ratio in terms of our infrastructure costs versus our payroll costs. So the amount of money that we save in having lower resources, we end up paying more for infrastructure. So that's one area.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and Mr. Zulfikar. I would like to understand from you that we all are talking that one of the underlying factors is change management. And the thing is, as I mentioned, there are hardly many companies, they follow an outsourcing strategy. And you deal with customers day in and day out, what do we really don't want to understand? Or it is a very difficult, something to understand. And at the same time, I'll add, a supplementary question to it, that IFRS, we are being an IFRS country, how, it will play the role, in the development of outsourcing, market or shared service center in Pakistan, for both offshoring and onshoring.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I congratulate ACCA for taking this very important topic ahead. To answer the first question, in my experience and our firm's experience, I think you find a wide variety of responses and thought processes around this subject matter. Obviously, in the multinational space, as well as the large local corporates, where there are professional qualified people within both the finance function and the overall leadership, you find there's quite there's a depth of degree, there's a certain degree of depth and understanding of this subject matter and the benefits it naturally brings along with it. So when we have conversations with leaders in entities where they have such professionals, the discussion does not focus around cost savings, because that's a foregone conclusion for them. The discussion is primarily focusing on risk management for the entity, internal controls, so improvements on internal control, as well as compliance. So for a large number of these entities, the cost of compliance is exceedingly high, and the best strategy is to outsource it to mitigate the risks associated with that. In the public sector as well, Shah Sahib has a lot of experience, but the public sector also is now looking at a variety of outsourcing in a lot of the work that they're doing, particularly in monitoring programs, and as well as some of the accounting and back office work as well. So I think there is an awareness in the public sector as well, although in the public sector one has to appreciate that there are different challenges relating to how the labor force evolves within these organizations. There are certain government regulations regarding employment, etc. And oftentimes offshoring and outsourcing is considered a challenge to that mindset. But yes, I think the thought process is developing quite well. I think initiatives such as this and a better brand management of Pakistan as an offshoring outsourcing location will attract great opportunities and greater conversations around this. I think we are, as a firm, seeing the most number of opportunities come through in our BSO, business services and outsourcing service line, in terms of number of requests for proposals and opportunities. So it's a very fast growing service line for us in Pakistan and internationally. In terms of the second question, the IFRS aspect, yes, in Pakistan we've been an IFRS adopter for a number of years, one of the oldest adopters. We're practically fully harmonized, with a few exceptions. And so that tremendously helps us in terms of managing a talent pool, which has quite a strong degree in terms of strong degree of knowledge in terms of IFRS. But when we look at the practical application of that, I find that when we look at outsourcing engagements or offshoring engagements, it's not the level of IFRS knowledge which particularly distinguishes us. It is more our ability and if we are to deliver an outsourcing solution, is if we can come up with a proposition or a process which has internal control systems properly built, appropriate use of technology, so efficient use of technology, and the IFRS aspect is often something that works in the background. But certainly it is a strength in a lot of these outsourcing, offshoring solutions. It's not just IFRS that one needs to have knowledge of. You need knowledge of other jurisdictions, for example, US GAAP, Sarbanes-Oxley, when it relates to internal controls, and compliance requirements in other jurisdictions. I think those things one can be easily trained in. A good example is large investment banks in the US. You see art history majors coming in, graduates coming into that profession and being trained fairly quickly. Certainly, the IFRS knowledge will be a great help, but I don't think it's necessarily something that we can rest upon.
Thank you very much, and we are short of time. So, in summary, what I would say to the panelists that I think we have to go a long way in this journey, and yes, absolutely, and I very I fully agree with Asad Saab that it is the policy, that it is the patronage.
I think we need to recognize some hard facts. As I said, unfortunately, the potential that we have, this country, 200 million population, third largest English-speaking people, very highly skilled and good number of urban population, and the quantum of work that we have got from the world, and as I said, real opportunities offshoring, not outsourcing. And the reason for that is that our labor is very cheap. So in terms of cost, really there is not too much advantage in doing the outsourcing. Yes, they do a small amount of outsourcing within the country, but compared to the developed countries, we can offer, as I said, 10% of the cost, or even 5% of the cost, what these multinational large companies and governments, the work that they are using. But unfortunately, because of the perception issue, most of that work has gone to the other countries already. India has captured most of the market. The other factor is that we lack vision as a country, as a nation. We talked about earlier, the Deputy Governor talked about CPAC. Now, entire country is talking about CPAC. It seems that this country is in love with infrastructure. Okay, we need infrastructure, but what about our soft skills? What about our education? If you look at our education, you know that more than 50% of our children do not go to the schools. They're out of schools. And those who go in the public sector schools, probably 70–80% are not getting any education at all. So when you look at literacy rate, 42% of the country's population of 200 million is illiterate. So more than 85 million people are illiterate. So the thing is that we are not investing in our human resources, we are not building our, because today's world, the real competition is, those are the countries which succeed are those which have strong human resources, not who have coal and who have infrastructure and who have other, material things. So the real thing is the brains and the quality of human resources. And unfortunately, as a nation, we have not been spending on human resources. We still do not have any vision for the service sector. For instance, you talk that Pakistan, the perception is that the government is doing a lot in this area. I'm surprised. What is the government doing? Do you know that the service sector is discriminated against the goods sector, for instance? Now, if you export goods, the taxation is 1% of the sale proceeds. And if you are an exporter of services, then you are in a total tax debt. There is no exemption even for exports. And we have 200 million people, ultimately they should be, the government should be promoting service sector, not the, as it is, we have become very competitive in goods also. and it is the people who produce goods also. So, I mean, and not only there is no fiscal incentives for for service sector, but now the service tax at the provincial level, at the federal level, there is so many fiscal issues, and you know the ease of doing business issue. We are 138 out. We are virtually at the bottom. So we are not addressing the real issues. We are CPAC may be very good. It may create a bit of a euphoria, but most of the returns will go to China. At 20% IRR or 25% return on equity, 30% return. How are we going to return our debt? I think the biggest issue is our priorities are not right, and we are not investing the most important asset, or which could be our asset, is the human resources. We are instead investing on the bricks and mortars.
And with this thought that human resources will eventually play the vital role, we are open for your questions, and you can have any questions with our panelists. We have short of time, so we'll take just 5 to 10 minutes.
We have taken 2 questions physically, but there are a couple of questions on the webcast through our online participants. As we speak, we have over 200 people attending online as well. So Harun, if you would like to relate those questions to us.
Question from Mr. Mohammad Zuhair Iqbal. He's an ACCA member. He's asking, his question is from Mr. Wajid Terza. He says he's running a firm like Arthur Lawrence and has been in business for 4 years now. He's saying, my question is, when we work for our foreign clients at Pakistan time zone, is it necessary to work on foreign times to grow vertically in the field, or can we grow gradually with the Pakistan time zone? Also, is there anything you want to share for growing our business?
Absolutely, a great question. We actually use, first of all, Arthur Lawrence, our company, works in 2 time zones. One, the US time zone, and second, the Pakistani time zone. We actually use the Pakistani time zone as our competitive advantage. We talk about the fact that when the clients are sleeping, our resources are working and producing, completing their books. Secondly, I believe in finance and accounting, there are a lot of business processes that do not require customer facing. And all of those business processes can be done in Pakistani time zone, and therefore you don't really need to have people working at night or in the evenings to match up with UK and US time zones.
There's another member, Mohammad Shuaib, who's appreciating the points Satli Shah made, saying that we need to invest in quality HR rather than bricks and mortars. So supporting your point. One final question, and this question is to Mr. Naeem Zinita, saying company infrastructure in Pakistan lacks innovation, high profit margins with low service quality. How can we modify the situation in companies? Question to Mr.
So, innovation is something which is very entrepreneurially driven, right? So, we've got to create an entrepreneurial environment within our organizations and create incentive structures to motivate innovation to happen, right? What is happening now in Pakistan and everywhere is that entrepreneurship is becoming something that anybody, because of the access to venture capital, becoming more and more accessible for individuals to pursue, and the infrastructure to make that happen is available in Pakistan now. And I think there's a huge opportunity for more innovation to come through. Pakistanis are very innovative. We are a nation of jugadus, right? So we are good at this. I think that does it, yeah. So really, it's going to be entrepreneurship that's going to be driving it, right? Within organizations, entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship.
I have a question here, and this question may move into and there's this one line member is asking about we are talking about finance and accounting. What about the training part of it? That how can robots help them doing it, and what are the opportunities in this domain? So the question is about the training domain. So the same thing, how it's in the future, what's going to happen? What are the opportunities available? Not maybe finance and accounting, and then the training. So I can share with you the training part of it a bit. That is going online as well. And anything you would like to add, to the member.
So in terms of training, I understand this is like concern about how will people be trained for the performance of this service. So again, this starts not only with sort of practical experience, this starts much ahead. First, attaining the qualification, and then sort of going ahead, and then the responsibility would lie on the profession. The responsibility would lie on government organizations. The responsibility would lie on providing people the platform. So there are many different sort of interesting examples from around the world. So in terms of training the HR and also sort of helping sort of women also come in into this kind of profession, supporting this. Saudi Aramco in 2013 started a project with General Electric. So the aim was to sort of, in a country like Saudi Arabia where it's not very easy for women to work, so the aim was to sort of train them. And GE and Saudi Aramco, which is a national company, they took on this role to create about many jobs. So the project is still ongoing, and the idea was to create 3,000 jobs in 3 years and 10,000 jobs in sort of, that is perhaps the target they were looking at. So the idea is that one has to create the enabling environment, and one of the earlier thoughts was that what is the government, what can the government or the other institutions can do? Provide the right kind of enabling environment that will help people get trained. And it could be training both ways. It could be like strategic partners, like what's happening in Saudi Arabia and many other countries, that there is somebody taking on the board to create and invest in this HR, like Mr. Abdul also said that who's going to take on the responsibility? And in a country like ours, or in many developing countries, the responsibility not only lies with the government. The responsibility lies with every stakeholder, whether it is the profession, whether it is the multinational companies, whether it is the local company, or the government.
Right, and last question is very quick, and to Zulfikar. What about, we bring, sir, a renowned BPO vendor and ask them to come to Pakistan and set up a shared service center. And the thing is, what is going to be the possibilities of the local vendors, to develop the kind of technologies they have. The thing is, the strategic perspective, how do you see? The thing is, instead of being convincing, we are talking that, we are unable to attract, many brands. But instead, if you go to, with the government support to certain vendors, and they say, come here, we're going to incentivize you, set up a venture, and just show us how it works. At the end of the day, the thing is, once, because unfortunately we don't have a service delivery center of most of the top 5 vendors in Pakistan. So if they come, what are the possibilities? That's the last question.
Yeah, I think it would be welcome, especially if they can bring customers. The biggest challenge is getting business, right? So if there is somebody who's got a brand who can bring clients in for you, and you are the back-end service partner, then there's clearly an opportunity for that, right? And I think the ability to make it happen in Pakistan is there. It's just a matter of being able to work.
There's one way to go about it. I believe there's one way to go about it, because this is
other efforts are going on, but at the same time, we should develop, a couple of shared service centers of large vendor, maybe essential. They're putting, a shared service center about 50 in India and 50 in China. If you ask them to come here and set up a shared service center in a big way, probably local vendors will also be benefited.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a huge market opportunity. And many organizations, I know, for example, within organizations, even when I was at the team, we had considered setting up a business in this area, right? And there's clearly an opportunity. The biggest challenge is really market access. For example, Mobilic's example I gave, they don't have an issue because they can move all their services from globally to Pakistan. And the talent that we get in Pakistan is actually quite good, right? The same thing IBM has done. IBM is setting up a 2,000 person development center in Pakistan for artificial intelligence, right?
Just short of that, I will say quick comment.
Thanks. I think an initiative like this will go a long way in bringing large foreign vendors to Pakistan in the BPO space. To be honest, we did not have such a difficult time convincing our global CEO to visit Pakistan, and as he said himself, he was very pleasantly surprised, or he had a great experience so far. So I don't think there's anything stopping us in terms of.
Okay, we can keep one of these options, and at the end, I'd like to thank everyone personally for gracing this space and sharing brilliant insight on many things. And we believe together that a long way to go. And if we take some tangible actions out of many more conferences, so we can do what we really needed to do. Thank you once again to everyone. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Faisal. Thank you much to the panel. Just a few minutes more on the stage. I'd like to request Helen Brand and Sajid Aslam to please come on the stage, and if we can hand over the mementos to the esteemed panelists and the moderator. Today, I can pretty much relate to Faisal Kama. He may have a very dry throat right now. And you can see that he loves to talk. Group photo, please. Thank you much, everybody. Thank you much to the panelists. A big round of applause to our panelists and Mr. Faisal Kama. Now moving on to the second panel discussion, I'd like to invite Mr. Junaid Shekhar, CEO of IT Minds. The topic is Fintech transforming business. Are we ready? Mr. Shekhar is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan and ICMA Pakistan, and is also a certified internal auditor. He brings extensive experience of capital markets, depository product development, operations, and internal audit while associated with CDC Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Junaid Shekhar.
Guest of honor, chief guest, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very warm evening to all of you. Before we go to the topic Fintech, which at the moment unfortunately seems to be a very futuristic topic or subject for Pakistan, let's first look into some of the examples of how technology in the recent years has changed our lives. Can I get the pointer? So everyone, I think, in the room would actually relate this example. This is iconic, all famous London telephone booth, which used to be a very common sight everywhere in all the streets, all across London. But what actually happened to London telephone booths? The number has drastically reduced, and whatever telephone booths are left on the streets, these are being used as a photo shop opportunity. People are actually taking photographs before they finally disappear rather than making telephone calls. And I don't need to tell what actually happened with these telephone booths, because it's everyone is carrying a mobile phone or a smartphone in his pocket. So obviously we don't need telephone booths anymore. Let's take a local example. PCO, public call offices. We used to see these PCO signs all across Pakistan. It used to be a very lucrative business, a very techy thing at that time. We had a kind of technical phone with time stamping and logging facilities. We used to see it all across Pakistan, even in bigger cities and affluent towns. So what actually and eventually happened to the PCO? Obviously, it also got replaced by mobile phones and smartphones eventually. Another example from Pakistan capital markets. Previously, physical trade were happening. The transfer of ownership used to take several days. Currently, electronic bookkeeping, electronic sales, electronic transfer of shares, and you cannot trade at the stock exchange unless you own the shares in book entry form. And whenever you sell or whenever there's a moment of securities take place, you get instant confirmation through SMS, through SMS via mobile phone, email alert, web portal, and mobile application. This evolution of technology and communication actually gives me strength and confidence that finally, and one day, Fintech will also get a mileage in Pakistan. Let's look at some definitions to really understand what Fintech is. Obviously, it's a short form of financial technology. It's an evolving intersection between finance and technology, fusion between finance and technology, and it's basically challenging the way we think and we operate. One thing we have to understand is that technology is actually challenging us the way we live, operate, think, and do business. Apart from the other stakeholders, which would be regulators, government, and academia, these are the prime three infrastructure ecosystem players of when we talk about the fintech. These, first of all, are the large banks, well-established large banks with a huge network like Barclays, HSBC, Standard Chartered. Startup businesses that are coming with the support of venture capitalists who are for some particular idea or for some particular processes, and then some technology, high-end technology companies that are supporting the payment system, such as Finserv, MasterCard, etc. these are some of the key products. Some of the top 4, I would say, are more common or getting more familiarity, and the last 2 are, they're kind of making gradual progress. So when we talk about fintech, we talk about like payment, e-commerce, borrowing, lending, mobile transfer, money transfer, financial advice, and insurance. This is important. This is the global landscape when you talk about the fintech, which are the key countries and key locations and key continents where the things are actually happening, and that these are happening at a much faster pace. There are different reports, and there are like varied kind of information in terms of fintech. But as we speak now, Britain by far leads the total number of investment in terms of fintech, and in terms of the size of employees that is engaged in fintech. Like more than 66,000 people are actually engaged in fintechs when we talk about Britain, but things are likely to change after the fintechs. But when we talk about the last year, 2015, the largest amount of investment actually took place in the USA. As per the PwC report published in second quarter of 2016, it says like the global market of fintech is likely to grow to $150 billion in next 3 to 5 years time. So we are looking at some huge numbers and huge investment and huge development in this area. So what is actually, it's important to understand what is actually making fintech a success. There are a couple of things that we need to understand which is actually evolving the fintech and making the concept very popular. First of all, everyone has access to mobile phone. Almost everyone has an access to a smartphone with 3G and 4G enabled services. There's a generation born after in the year 1990 and afterwards that basically they love to challenge the things that have been operated or that have been done in the traditional way. They don't want to bank the way we have been banking since ages, or the way the banks has been operated since centuries. They want everything to be done through the smartphones. And so basically, and there's a fast-moving technology which is changing how we live and how we operate. So basically, this is creating altogether a new kind of market using or leveraging technology, which is much cheaper than the traditional system. And because the bank kind of operate on a legacy system and they have a large network, so they find it actually slow in moving or responding to the new technology as compared to the startup businesses. So when we talk about Pakistan, the local landscape, which as we see the number, it's a huge potential. If we can focus on the 100 million population that is unbanked or that is out of the system, so it can be huge potential for the Pakistan or the Pakistani market. And if we compare Pakistan with the regional countries, at one hand we have got a very large population that is unbanked. If we compare with the peer countries, and if we compare with the peer countries, on the other hand, we have got a very large population that is mobile savvy. So we have got advantage on both sides. So what is then stopping us from moving ahead in fintech? So these are the 4 characteristics or ingredients that would actually drive Pakistan or fintech going forward or moving forward. There has to be all the stakeholders actually have to come on one platform in making the right kind of policies, taking the right kind of decisions, and providing the enabling environment for the fintech. And the academia has to play its role in harnessing the talent. The government has to take right kind of decisions. The regulators to come up with right kind of policies to actually provide a level playing field and the environment for fintech to flourish. And obviously, there has to be awareness through which a demand has to be created. Sorry. So these are some of the examples of what's happening at the local front. These are some of the initiatives mainly taken by the mobile cellular companies. So what financial institutions have to do now? is really, fintech is really a threat for them. One thing they have to do is to become more agile of what's happening around them. And the change, they also need to change and relook into the processes in terms of making decisions and taking advances in terms of technology. So basically, it's targeting, fintech is targeting many areas of finances like insurance, asset management, but primarily it's going to take lead in payment, which will be, banks will be the most affected. So what is the role of accountants if we talk about fintech and technology and communication? So Asad Shah Sahab also spoke about the talent and there's a need to harness the talent. So professional accountants obviously have to understand, they have to realize that most of the jobs or most of the discipline in which they are working would actually no more exist in years to come. So there is a a need for change of mindset. If I talk about IT minds when we go to sell a product, which is an outsourcing product, with all due respect, most of the resistance actually comes from the accountants who actually see outsourcing as a threat to the job, and they see it's as a lose of control when they actually outsource their accounting function to a B2 service provider. But what they fail to realize or understand is this outsourcing would actually give them more space to focus more on strategy and expansion and business. So with this, actually, we bring an end to this presentation, and because of the shortage of time, and we'll start on with the slide.
Thank you. A big round of applause for Mr. Junaid Shekhar, who is obviously trying to escalate. Moving into the panel discussion, we'll be calling on stage the conversation leaders for this panel discussion. To start with Mr. Faik Sadiq, who is the Chief Internal Auditor for HPL, just called about 30 minutes back, unable to join us since an emergent MANCOM meeting was initiated. We have with us Dr. Farooq Iqbal, Dean and Director, IBA Karachi. Dr. Iqbal has over 30 years of research and management experience in the world across a diverse range of countries and sectors in Asia and GCC, including growth, poverty, SMEs, trade, and foreign investment. If we can have Mr. Dr. Farooq Iqbal on the stage, please. Next, Ms. Helen Brand, Chief Executive, ACCA. Helen Brand OE is one of the few women to lead global professional body. She has worked closely with IFAC and is a founding member of the International Integrated Reporting Council and now sits on its board. Helen was awarded an OBE in the Queen's Birthday Honours List in June 2011 for services to accountancy. Ms. Sadia Khan, CEO of Salar Enterprises Private Limited. She has pursued a very versatile career path across 3 continents. She is a global president of INSEAD Alumni Association since 2015. In 2014, she received the prestigious French award, Knight of the National Order of Merit. She has edited the book Corporate Governance Landscape of Pakistan, which has just been published by Oxford University Press. Mr. Salman Hassan, CEO TCS E-Commerce. Salman brings with him over 13 years of experience in banking and marketing, credit cards, launch banking, autos, and mortgages to personal finance products. He is a specialist in launching and revamping business lines. Junaid, just like Faisal, will be helping us moderate the panel. As we speak, we have over 200 people online joining on through webcast, and are really appreciating the proceedings. We had more questions, but we only kept it to 2. So as we did in the previous panel discussion, if you could please raise your hands in the hall and pass on your questions in writing to our team. We'll take it to the moderator. And for the online audience, we have Mr. Harun Jan, who will be asking the questions here. He's our Regional Director for Member Affairs, Manasa region. Thank you much. Junaid, over to you.
Thank you, Asad. I would like to welcome all the panelists, and we'll start. I'll start by asking a question from Helen Brand. Recently, I came across a very good publication, research publication published by ACCA, Drivers of Change and Future Skills. And there are like kind of 7 drivers of change and skill set mentioned in that report, one of which is digital quotient. How can we actually relate that digital quotient skill set with fintech?
I think it's clear that from everything we've heard today, it's absolutely fatal for anybody to think they've ever finished learning and that ever the work is done in terms of remaining relevant in the workplace. And what we drew out in that Professional Accountants for the Future research were what we're calling the 7 quotients for professional success, one of which, as you said, was the digital quotient. That doesn't mean necessarily that every ACCA member or professional accountant will be deeply technologically knowledgeable. They won't necessarily be creating the new means of transacting, dealing with the customer. But they do have to know how to plan for them, how to be agile, how to make sure that their business is investing to use that technology for the benefit of the business and for the customer. So we see this as a part of the continuous learning of professional accountants. I mean, it's always been said that it's a lifelong commitment to learning. More than ever, that is absolutely true. And we do see the possibility, unless people change and learn, that they will become irrelevant and therefore, in the purest sense of the word, redundant. So this, what's going around us, particularly in that digital space, requires continuous learning.
I would like to ask a question with Dr. Farooq Iqbal, who's from IBA. IBA, as we all know, is one of the most prestigious and oldest institutions of Pakistan, apart from giving a world-class degree in business and other disciplines. It also encourages entrepreneurship. From that perspective, is fintech really an opportunity for IBA?
Thank you. Is fintech an opportunity for IBA? It depends on how you see or how you define opportunity. IBA is an educational institution. Is there an opportunity for us in doing something with financial technology as a topic for educational purposes? Yes. Any new topic, any disruptive technology, anything that challenges dogma, that shakes basic principles, that re-examines settled questions. All of this is exciting for academics. So from that perspective, that of an academic, financial technology, because it is serving as a disruptive force in a settled business, banking, or capital markets, let's say, is enormously exciting. There's the prospect of doing new courses. There's the prospect of doing new case studies. What's there not to like for an academic? Right? So yes, I think disruptive technology suits the academic sector. And from that perspective, I would say that we at IDA are very interested in learning about what's happening in the world of finance, particularly through financial innovation.
Thank you. Question is with Sadia. You are on the board of Tarandas, and I happened to go to the website of Tarandas, which apparently seems to be a provider of finances to the SME sector. What kind of opportunity actually you see in the SME sector in Pakistan, and especially leveraging the use of technology? Because there's a huge untapped market in Pakistan who are kind of neglected from the core banking sector.
Thank you, Julian. I see great potential for the SME sector. Let me speak a bit from Caritas' perspective and then also from the various companies on the boards of which I sit, as well as my family business, which is in logistics. Now, just like in the logistics business, there is a vast amount of undocumented informal credit. And that is true of a lot of different industries where there is supply chain credit provided by the major corporates. Now, what happens is that these larger players with deep pockets manage to survive, where the smaller players are asked to exit because they are able to provide that kind of informal credit. Now, if there were to be third parties involved in the provision of this credit, I refer now to fintech companies, it will not only unburden players in the market so that they can focus on the core products and services, but also enhance the risk sharing within the sector. This I see prevalent in most of the industries that I said, of course, of companies, whether it's in fertilizers, farm economics, whether it's in cables, brick and mortar industries. There is so much undocumented credit prevailing in various sectors that there is a need for fintech companies and other players to come in and provide that kind of credit to the supply chain, and in particular the SMEs, which are unable to function without the provision of this kind of credit. Now, Caritas is doing a number of initiatives. One is focused on the credit and debt side, where they're providing supply chain credit in association with large financial institutions, as well as the corporate sector. But very importantly, it's also trying to promote fintech companies. In November last year, it held the first ever Fintech Disrupt Challenge. 60 proposals were received, 28 were shortlisted, 3 companies were awarded prizes. And the proposals from these range from providing credit for farm input to small farmers, to ways of enhancing biometric verification online, as well as using SIM credit for buying online digital content from various websites and applications. So you can see that there's a vast potential, and Caritas is coming in both as a provider of credit to try and enhance that in association with other financial institutions, but also enhancing the promotion and the ecosystem for fintech companies to develop.
Salman, question for you. We talked about leveraging technology, reaching out to that segment of the society which is kind of untapped. So if you talk about your business and e-commerce in Pakistan, so would you like to share with us, what is the kind of landscape of e-commerce and how it has been progressing since the last couple of years, especially with the coming in of 3G and 4G technology?
Thank you. Well, the numbers have been remarkable. All the e-commerce players in Pakistan are seeing at least a few 100% growth annually, and some of them are seeing it monthly. So the time is already arrived. The people want it. Logistics is very, very important. The previous generation, when you talk about the 90s and before that, they used to go and get things, but the latest generation does not want to go. They want things delivered to their, or they want it delivered fast. So it's a complete turnaround. Disruption is already happening around us. A lot of numbers I can throw to you, but one of the most interesting one that I like is that a company which everybody probably knows called Google is estimating that the next billion users of internet will come from 6 countries, and Pakistan is one of them. And they're going very, very fast, setting up offices here. They want to grab that opportunity because the Western market is already saturated, users already there. We are a young nation. A lot of our younger generation is already online. They are already on social network. Our internet penetration rate is better than India right now. It's at 18%, while the rest of us in India is at 17%. 44% of us already access internet through smartphones. I can give an example of the TCS e-com portal called Yevo.com, where 60% of our traffic is already coming through the mobile phone. It's already there. I think what's the challenge is, can these e-commerce companies with the fintech innovations coming and the logistics be able to service the customer adequately? That is the challenge. The demand is there, people want it, can we actually do it? So exciting times.
I concur with you. Actually, we have got in our office a very young population, and the average age is like below 30 years. And what I've been observing is like that preferred mode of shopping is now online. So they, instead of going to the market, they prefer being shopping online.
On a lighter note, I'm the oldest person in my office. All the team e-commerce is much younger.
I just
add a follow-up to the report you were talking about, the Professional Accountants of the Future. I say issued a report called Generation Next. And what was very interesting there, we surveyed, well, we had responses from 19,000 people between the ages of 16 and 30 who were in finance. And they do not see fintech or technology in its widest sense at all as a threat. They saw it absolutely as an opportunity to do the kind of work that they're interested in, an opportunity to innovate. And I think that's quite contrary sometimes to the commentary you hear from people my age, or because it's part of their lives, it's absolutely natural for them. And they also see it as a route to entrepreneurship. So 80% of that 19,000 responses, 80% saw themselves establishing their own company within 5 years' time. And that's an incredible statistic, using the basis of their financial knowledge and their digital knowledge in order to do that. So I think we're just in a very, very different dynamic, and both catering for that generation, but also harnessing the skills of that generation to innovate in businesses is going to be absolutely essential.
Thank you. Dr. Farouk. Obviously, these kinds of initiatives require a lot of thinking from the end of the government, a lot of support from the regulators. And obviously, we also talked about, I also mentioned in the presentation, that all the stakeholders, whether it may be academia, whether it may be the regulator, whether it may be the investors, all have to be brought into the same platform, one platform. Are you satisfied with the kind of initiatives that are being taken if you compare especially the countries like India? So are we going in the right direction in tapping this untapped market? Your views?
That's a very broad question, so I have a broad answer. In general, I'm not so sure that in the area of financial innovation or financial technology, government is doing anything in particular. And I think that's good. I don't think if somebody says, government should promote startups, assuming they mean financial support, I think that would be a very bad idea, right? Startups in this area, in any area, are inherently a risky venture, and this should be done by the private sector using equity capital, right? So if that's the kind of thing anybody is doing anywhere, I'm not impressed. I don't think that's what should be done. But as was also mentioned in the previous panel, if you think about change and the prospect of growth and development in the 21st century, it's going to come from human capital. It's going to come from brain power. I think Asad Ali Shah, very eloquently mentioned that. That's where it's going to come from. So if our government is not doing enough in the area of human capital, and I think it is not doing enough in the area of human capital, in case you wanted the answer to that question, that's too bad. The best thing government can do for financial innovation, for startups, is really for the future in the 21st century in Pakistan, is support human capital in a more comprehensive and smarter way than it's doing right now. In addition, as we know, just for financial innovation, not necessarily other fields, government has to provide the digital infrastructure, the broadband infrastructure that is needed to make this sort of innovation possible. That's a public good, just like roads and bridges, and governments should be supplying public goods. So if you're saying what should government do, they should supply digital infrastructure and they should do a lot more for human capital.
Salman, when you talk about e-commerce, buying goods online, there's a lot of perception about, I'm using the word perception, about customer support, bad delivery, what was pictured was not delivered. We get to hear when we talk or we sit at the beers, we get to hear a lot about these type of things. So is it like a perception or a reality? And if it's a reality, even if it's a perception, what steps a company like you are taking to clear these types of perceptions?
So thank you. So we have our own sessions in the e-commerce startup. So I would say it's a reality. What we have analyzed is that a lot of startups came into the country, and a lot of things that were promised on the website was not delivered. I think it's a journey. A lot of corporatized companies come in, TCS being one of them, identify this opportunity as on e-commerce portal. So once you have the responsibility on us as an e-com company is much more because we have a brand like TCS behind us, and we don't want people. It's a symbol of trust in the country, a super brand. So we're very, very cognizant of the fact that that does not happen. There are some certain other corporatized companies, venture capital companies, which are in Pakistan. The biggest one is rocket companies, which are doing. So whenever we talk about a corporatized and a process-oriented companies, they will. Whoever is here for the long run cannot afford to lose trust of the customers, because it's very difficult to acquire a customer, make him go through the journey, and not providing the service that he gets from a normal physical retail store. So yes, it has happened. A lot of startups have created this perception, which is actually reality as well. We as companies are trying to solve it by just doing general products. But overall, as Pakistan, there are also issues of grey market products that are available in the physical world as well. There is also replicas which have great volumes, unfortunately, in Pakistan, whether it's FMCGs or electronics. So it's actually a bigger issue than e-commerce, the quality of product, and whether there are any back processes where you can actually do it. But e-commerce companies, the corporates one, are trying to tackle the problem because there's survival at stake.
Thank you. Sadia, you are into business, and you are into logistic business, into international business. Coming out from the typical Pakistani businessman mentality, do we see investing in technology as an investment or a cost? And do we realize the potential how our business can actually grow by investing in technology? Your views?
Definitely an opportunity. And the thing is, the more progressive-minded corporates who are already investing in that field. Of course, one has to, like any project, define the cost and benefit before going into it. But given where the industry is heading and given the future, as you described it in the presentation and what we heard before, I think most progressive businessmen will be looking at technology and leveraging of the enhanced outreach and access through technology in the respective businesses. Let me also touch upon this from the regulatory perspective, Junaid, if I may, because I have worked as a regulator in the past. And you mentioned in the presentation that part of the ecosystem is the policy and the regulation. Now, luckily, there is a mindset in the regulatory environment that we're not there just for policing the respective sectors, but also developing it. Financial inclusion is part of the strategic direction of the State Bank, as well as the documentation of the economy. Now, if you juxtaposition that with some of the figures that you presented, 85% of the population does not have access to formal finance. 1/3 of that population borrow. Out of that, 3% borrow from formal channels. At the same time, we have 69% mobile teledensity. We have 132 biometrically verified SIMs. If you see all these facts and figures together, Fintech is really the future. And I think the regulators are also catching on to that. And hence, both in terms of some of the regulations that we've already looked at and some of what they can look at, is a good place to be in, both from the market perspective and the regulatory perspective.
Just to add to it, since you mentioned about the regulator, Fintech actually can be a huge potential, huge opportunity for government to broaden the tech space and actually kind of getting the right amount of taxes, and that would actually benefit the nation as a whole, because get the tax base was broadened and the amount would be actually utilized for the betterment and the development of the country. Last question with Helen. Gradually and over the period of last few years, we have seen automation of mainly all the business processes, and we have also seen automation of accounting processes gaining popularity of softwares or ERP like Oracle and SAP. How do you see the role of accountant evolving with the fully automated accounting and bookkeeping function? Maybe in next few years, maybe we are talking about the entire bookkeeping or accounting being done automatically by the system. So how do you see the role of accounting evolving?
Well, certainly, as I mentioned earlier, our own young members are seeing it as an opportunity to truly become that strategic business partner with that solid finance grounding, rather than being involved in the processing of the day-to-day and probably tasks that people didn't fully enjoy anyway beforehand. So I do think it's going into that added value space. I also think that something that hasn't changed and won't change about professional accountants is their ethical training and ethical compass. And one of the really important dimensions of fintech and the big data that comes out of that and the data analysis that comes out of it is how that is governed and how people's information is used. Privacy, huge issues around that which concern society. So I do think that professional accountants with their core ethical training, where they look to do the right thing in the public interest, should play a critical role in the area of fintech, where that whole governance piece and the use of data will become more and more of an issue, I think, in the society, well, all societies. Just one point on access whilst I've got the microphone. And this links fintech and education. I think technology is going to drive that financial inclusion in terms of the education that is available to communities. And ACCA itself has used a MOOC platform to deliver a very foundation paper learning free of charge to anybody anywhere in the world. And that is, truly opening up the doors to that very basic information that is going to enable individuals to make the right decisions and to be included in that financial conversation. So I think we all, whether it's governments or institutions or businesses, I think we all have to look to that societal dimension as well in terms of the access that we can provide through the technology that we have at our disposal.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and sharing your insight and knowledge with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Junaid. You've made my job that much easier. We're back on track in terms of time. I'd like to thank the panel, our conversation leaders, for their fantastic, very crisp, very direct answers. A few things that I picked up, obviously e-commerce or related organizations are young. What you deliver, you need to promise. It's all about customer trust. There is a grey market, so need to avoid that. Technology, whether that's an investment or an opportunity or a cost. Focus on financial inclusion, and last but not the least, the ethical dimension, which has been very aptly put forward, where the information that comes at the disposal through fintech is something that needs to be really very carefully used, and the privacy has to be looked into. So a real big round of applause for this panel and Mr. Junaid Shekhar for taking this for taking fintech to us. So the panel is seated. Thank you. So what I'd like to request Ayla Majid to actually come on the stage, and if she can actually hand over the mementos to the esteemed panelists and moderator, because this is today I realized. Let me just share with you. This is my first job on the mic, so it appears that it is really tough not to speak. See, the reason I did that, if I can just share with you, is that Sadia Khan had mentioned that she had to leave a bit early. So this is to provide her the opportunity, and then if we can take on the panel questions, if we can take the Q&A from the audience as well as the web audience. So thank you much. So for question and answers, people, can you please hand over your questions to our team? And in the meantime, if Harun, if you have the online questions, we can start with those.
Are there any online questions? Okay, sorry.
I have two comments if I'm allowed to. I don't have questions, but two comments. One is, as I think this issue was raised, that what role the government should play to promote Fintech and technology. And I agree with Dr. Saab that minimum laws is better, but at least it should not impede the growth and technology and risk-taking. The problem is our regulatory environment, and I've raised this before, and I think through this forum I would like to raise. Do you know that in this country, the financing, or the banks can only finance projects on the basis of collaterals? Only, they don't take any risks other than collateralized, so that is one of the major impediment on risk taking. So anybody, the enterprise that you're talking about, the startups, etc., have no sources of financing. I mean, there is absolutely no risk taking in our culture, in our system, and the regulatory environment prohibits it. So at least I think the central bank should do away with that mandatory requirement under the prudential regulations, and the bank should be allowed to lend and do the risk taking if they want. So that's number one. Second aspect is again related to my previous presentation also. I think countries like Pakistan, India, China are at huge risk because of the changes and the advancements in technology, not only Fintech, but so many other technologies. They also facilitate a lot of people, but they also displace, and they also create unemployment. And I think it should also, it will be naive to assume that it will not affect the finance professionals and the ACCAs and the chartered accountants and even lawyers. All professionals may be affected because of the technological innovations that are taking place, because the routine functions in the future with automation, with the robotics and all that, obviously these are going to create huge unemployment they do create the risk. And I think the countries who have large populations, especially illiterate population and non-educated because future it will be only brains which will count. The routine work will be done by the machines, by the robots. So that is a major risk that the governments and the societies in these countries need to address.
Thank you, Shah Saab. These are like all valid observations and comments. Arun, can we take online questions?
This question is from Abdullah Muslim. He's saying, my name is Abdullah and I work in a financial sector organization. An organization has recently developed a Fintech unit for providing digital banking. My question to the panel is, what strategy is suited for banks to develop their own Fintech unit or partner technology companies considering legacy system issues? Abdullah has not mentioned the panelists should answer.
So, since I've been a banker for 17 years, let me try to take a photo it. Before I answer the question, just very quick two comments that need to be mentioned from my community perspective. Every day we hear a new kid who's come up and he's doing a new thing on Fintech. in our industry, it's happening very, very fast. So taking the opportunity, I just like to request the fraternity to think about the valuation models, because we still have not been able to figure out how to evaluate startups, and companies like TCS or Karanals can actually support these, but we don't have any financial business planning structures available. So one request, maybe some other time, some other conferences, that can be worked on. It will be very essential. Not even for the smaller players, even for the bigger players, everybody wants to know the equity valuation. From Uber to a startup yesterday, everybody used to know the company valuation. Now coming to the question, actually, frankly speaking, the mobile, and as already mentioned in the presentation, mobile, the telcos have taken a lead on it. It was banking space, frankly speaking. The telcos have done very, very well. And now it would be difficult for the banks to compete, but they can always try. Let me give you an example of Black Friday here. Two of the biggest telcos collaborated with, one collaborated with us, and the other one collaborated with another e-commerce player. They financed us to get the user to start using their payment processes and payment method to get the first time try experience. They are very, very aggressive. If you buy something on cash, you get for 1,000 rupees. If you buy something on Jazz Cash, you get for 800 rupees. So there was actually a motivation for the consumer to buy. So they have taken the lead. They have grown very, very big. I think the mobile account number was also shown in the presentation. A lot of Pakistanis have opened mobile accounts with them. They're transferring money. They're paying for goods and services. Even after Black Friday, the e-commerce players have still seen that the cash ratio has still not gone back up to that 98%. It used to be, it's actually staying down. And people used it once, and now they're very happy with it, they're using it as well. But I think banks with a strategic vision can come in. They will have to compete with these payment companies already existing. Make up their infrastructure fast, think like a startup, and then they'll be able to do it. So yes, opportunities are of course there.
I've got a question with you, Salman. You mentioned about the Black Friday sale. It does generate a lot of activity and sales, and discounts are like huge. From the e-commerce, from companies like you or Daraz, does it really generate some profit out of that sale? Quick answer.
Quick answer. The predominant reason of doing it is to get first use e-commerce in the country. You'll have to incentivize the consumer because he's very happy with the normal purchase process that he has in Pakistan. You hardly have two-income households here, so the time is not an issue. So it actually was there to encourage it, but now with companies like Jazz Cash supporting us, yes, there's money also being made by both players.
Thank you.
One more question to the question is about the regulatory framework, government support and policies. Syed Arshad Zaidi is asking, how can an enterprise survive in the global competitive world of fintech without government support?
Anybody? Sadia.
Let's try and differentiate between government support and the regulatory environment. Now, as far as the regulators are concerned, the State Bank has actually come up with some progressive regulations which is going in the right direction. The branchless banking regulation, the payment services providers regulation, and also an MOU signed between the State Bank and the Pakistan Telecommunications Authority (PTA) to try and enhance root-level interoperability of mobile wallets. Now, these are all regulations in the right direction. What is required, and I suggest maybe 3 or 4 steps that the regulator needs to take. Number one, even now the fintech companies that are coming up are being registered as payment service providers because fintech does not feature yet into the regulatory language. The first step really is to recognize fintechs as different entities. And here I think we need to differentiate between fintechs which are riding on top of incumbent financial institutions and those which are acting independently. And maybe we need different, I know Junaid mentioned level playing field, but given the regulatory environment that we work in, I think we do need to differentiate between fintechs which have the support of larger financial institutions and those who are coming up as startups. Secondly, some regulatory authorities around the world, FC in the UK, Monetary Authority of Singapore, they have separate fintech wings or units within their organizations. And here they're not only promoting fintech, but they have these sandboxes The sandbox is where you provide a safe environment for pilots to be conducted, experimentation and innovations without the risk of them reaching a much larger audience in the first phase. Similarly, policies need to keep up with it, and again, I mentioned the UK policies. Number one, there is tax efficiencies in P2P lenders, peer-to-peer lenders, as well as there are instructions to banks that if an SME or a small borrower approaches them and they are unable to fulfill the requirements, they have a duty to refer them to alternate providers. I mean, if we start doing this in our global environment, there's an immense potential. And finally, what is referred to as red tech, regulation technology. If the state bank or the regulators themselves become efficient in terms of compliance through technology, this will go a long way and then reaching that comfort level with fintech companies. So these are some of the ways of the regulatory environment can be improved.
This is a question from the audience. It's from Sadia Khan again. My name is Mohammad Adnan Salah. Most of the startups are the creation of unclaimed minds. It's not written clearly. These people may not be familiar with the regulation or understand the implication right. So how SVP or the regulator or the professional would decline the teams that focus on these issues? Would and some reputations that stop startup from is the person who has written this question is over here?
I think I get the gist.
Okay.
From the regulatory perspective, I think awareness creation is very important. But from the broader sector perspective, incubators, that's their role, to do that hand-holding, to provide that kind of understanding of the regulatory environment, as well as shared services, to enable a smaller startups with great vision, great idea, but maybe not the business acumen all the way alone, to translate that vision into reality. So this is where incubators and hand-holding have a large role to play.
I just add to that the role of the small practitioner or the professional accountant in all of this, because being that kind of business advisor to the person who's providing an idea is absolutely critical. So that's another role. I mean, we see more and more in environments where the audit is becoming less part of the small practitioner's role, but they are moving into this broader business advisor space. We're talking about the evolution of the profession. I sort of think for small practitioners, understanding that regulatory framework, understanding the financial sustainability of the business model is absolutely at the heart of what they're about. And applying it in this space is where the future will lie.
Thank you. This brings an end to our today's session. Just to sum up, BPO, outsourcing, co-sourcing, shared location, fintech, the world is actually moving in this direction. And sooner we actually embark on this journey, the better for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I can just request a panel group photo, please.
And if the current pace of development is sustained, that is likely to be considerable. Pakistan has been rightly praised internationally for the progress it has made across civil and business society. The economic developments are especially impressive, from the creation of the Pakistan Stock Exchange to attracting international investors and the exciting Chinese-Pakistan Economic Corridor and the multiplicity of projects that that contains. And as Pakistan rises to the challenges of the future, ACCA remains committed to playing our part in that success. We're particularly pleased to work alongside the World Bank and the to further build governance and public sector financial management capability. Through this and the very many other exciting developments on the horizons, Pakistan undoubtedly has fantastic growth prospects. And among these, following today's theme, I want to single out the opportunities presented by the growth of the global business services sector globally. From everything we're seeing, we believe this presents Pakistan with excellent opportunities for the export of its services and expertise. This is an area we've been researching and supporting for some 5 years, and I'd encourage you to explore the range of professional insights we have in this field on accaglobal.com. Finance function technology, of course, is another area which is driving and delivering a new world of experience that none of us would have anticipated even a decade ago. As we've discussed, whether it's through e-commerce, e-payment, mobile payment, XBRL or blockchain, the all-pervasive nature of fintech means that professional accountants should be at the forefront of leading change as never before. Through this, we'll see professional accountants having a bigger influence than ever on an economy's ability to succeed and thrive. Economies with larger proportions of digital natives, those who've grown up with technology and know no other world, have an inbuilt advantage. Here in Pakistan, where 55% of the population are under the age of 24, that demographic mix creates huge potential for the future. A ready pool of ambitious, digitally savvy young people ready and able to take Pakistan even further forward. And for our part, ACCA and its members stand ready and keen to contribute wherever we can to help Pakistan realise its enormous potential. In closing, thank you very much for being here today, and I'd like to end by saying, Pakistan, Zindabad, Pakistan, Paindabad.
So, ladies and gentlemen, fantastic closing, excellent day, excellent proceedings, having heard the experts on fintech, global business services, outsourcing, and all the policies and the policy statements made by the chief guest being the chief regulator from the banking sector. So, I would now like to call upon Ayla Majid as well to join Helen Brand on the stage and to extend our gratitude to our key partners. I request our partners from Karachi to join us on the stage to receive a small token of appreciation from our side. If I can, by order of alphabetical order, order, Arthur Lawrence, strategic partner. If we can have Mr. Wajid Mirza, managing partner. Habib Bank Limited, Mr. Faik Saleh was supposed to be here. If there's any person from his team who has joined. Hascol Petroleum, a platinum partner with us. Hascol Petroleum. I'd like to request Mr. Mubashir Tagia, Data Recall, to join us. As a gold partner within the gold partner category. K Electric, please. Hirasami, is she here? Yes, please. The memento is being received by Mr. Abdul Qadir, Manager K Electric. Sui Southern Gas Company, Mr. Salim. Toyota, Mr. Ibrad. Sui Southern Gas Company, please. So our member, Mr. Mohammed Hamadullah, is receiving the award on behalf of Sui Southern Gas Company. Toyota Indus Motors, Mr. Ibrad. United Bank Limited. So I request a group photo with all the partners. So thank you very much. Thank you for all the participants who have joined us here physically as well as online. Thank you to our conversation leaders, partners, our Chief Executive Helen Bryant, our Council Member Aida Marjin. So without further ado, I don't want to stand between you and the high tea. Please proceed to the pool area for the high tea. It's an ideal opportunity for you to interact among yourselves and with today's guests. Thank you very much for such a great participation. We wish to see you in the next PLC. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Pakistan Zindabad. Thank you.
Thank you.